My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have the kicker, punter, and quarterback for the incoming senior at Southington High School on the football team, Jack Barnum. Jack, it's a pleasure to be able to have you on, man.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Saunders.
First and foremost, I could talk about a bunch of stuff with you. We're going to try to get everything we can in the interview. But I just want to ask, how's everybody, with your family? I know we're starting to see the end, I think, of the COVID-19 pandemic with vaccines and things starting to open up. So, how's your family?
We're all doing good over here, just fighting through the end of this, getting ready to get back to normal. Football season next year. Good old 10 games, 13 games, I mean. Yeah. How are
Yeah,
you guys?
it's crazy to think about, man. It's what, less than 80 days, if I recall. I mean, depending on what you're looking at, as far as it could be a little bit more, a little bit less. So I could be wrong, but just thinking about the fact of where everybody was when the announcement was made. I think on September 4th of last year, that of 2020, when the football season was canceled. Now I know there was another chance to try to get it going, but basically football was canceled September 4th. I mean, I have it in my phone marked down specifically because when you think about certain dates, man, you think about your birthday, you think about Christmas, dates that you won't forget, July 4th. I feel like September 4th, 2020 is a date that won't be forgotten for years to come because it's the first time since in over 100, 200 years, whatever it was, that football was canceled.
I could tell you exactly where I was because we just did shoulder pad handout. We were just getting ready. We had our helmets, we were getting the shoulder pads out. We were all sitting on the turf, just waiting to play. And then someone opened up Twitter, one of the coaches, and it just like the mood just dropped. We were all like just getting our shoulder pads on, just dropped. And then one of our senior captains, Shane Laporte, he said, "Ayo, boys, like this is the last practice we're gonna have together. Like, let's make this count. Like, let's enjoy our time together." And like, yeah, it was heartbreaking, honestly, to not have a season.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of emotion, I think, that can kind of, and just hearing the stories from the coaches and the players and the people that I've had on from that March when I started, which was right around the same time as the pandemic when it really kind of got going, and then even continuing now towards the tail end, and now we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, schedules have come out. The Game Time was putting out everybody's schedules and teams, master schedules and such, and to be able to see that, even through Twitter and just through text messaging back and forth with various coaches and a couple players, even at the college ranks, I can kind of, I could sense the excitement, and I can only imagine how, just looking at you, how excited and thrilled you are that you're going to have a senior season, but also you have a chance to be able to play with your brothers again.
Oh, we are fired up. I mean, like you got summer lifting. Kids are usually like, oh, like we everyone's there. Everyone's putting in the work. We're ready to go for sure.
Do you think that, and just one last question about the fact of the negative side, and then we'll get to some positive stuff, basically all positive stuff. Do you think that because of what went on last year, that maybe for the next couple years, and who knows, I know you only have 1 year left, but I feel like there's more appreciation for, like you mentioned, summer lifting, even conditioning down the road, and then you have practice. Like, I feel like there's going to be more focus, not just with Southington, but just with all players, because now it's you just never know when it can be taken away from you.
I think so for sure. I mean, the last like real summer lifting I had was like sophomore year, and when we got back out there, yesterday was our first day. It was like you think back and you're like, oh, I actually had a great time, like spending all this time with my brothers, putting in the work. And then like last year, we just didn't have it. It was like modified. Everyone was split up. And then, yeah, I mean, getting back at it with like the whole team around, it's a good feeling, honestly. I think everyone across the state is going to feel the same way.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait to broadcast football. I can't be able to start covering. The best part is being able to go to practices the week of a game. If I have, I don't know, let's say Naugatuck and Holy Cross, because I broadcast in the NVL, to go to those practices before and talk to coaches. You miss that. Like this is great, but I like the face to face, and hopefully, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. But I want to obviously why you're here is because the talent that you have. Obviously, you said that you're competing for the quarterback spot, correct?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. But there's another side where people may not know the talent while you're talented at quarterback, your main objective is kicker and punter. Now we're going to get into as far as the present time. But I want to go back to the past a little bit. Where like tell me the story. I know you kind of brought, the fact you played soccer and that, Southington obviously known for football, you kind of have to play football, right?
Yeah. So middle school years, I wasn't big into football at all. I might have played a little bit in sixth grade, but my family was really big on soccer. Like my parents both played college soccer, so I had to try out soccer. I had to, fill in my dad's shoes almost. But once, I got to like eighth grade, you hear about like, oh, summer lifting, football, like Sunington football, this, that. I had to play football. You have to play football here. So I got to freshman year. I played a cornerback and kicker because, yeah, in second straight quarterback. So then sophomore year came around. Coach Drury's holding tryouts for the kicker position. Um, I told him previously that I had a little bit of experience, from freshman year. So I competed for that, got the kicker spot. And then so the season came around. I was the varsity kicker. And then, yeah, this is where I am now. I'm kicker and quarterback, kicker, punter, quarterback.
Take me into the tryout because how many players were in that tryout?
There was probably about four.
Okay, so there were four, and out of those four, and you don't have to be, you can be honest. Was there any? Because I'm sure, obviously, your kicking ability has progressed since that time, and
Mhm.
I'm sure you were good, but it was raw because you weren't doing consistently.
Yeah.
But what was it like going up against the other three players, and then yourself?
So, so it was actually Shane. Well, it was Shane, and then there was a couple soccer players.
Okay,
So, Shane has a massive leg. He's a really strong kid.
okay,
So we compete in, making field goals, this, that. And then he was like, we were okay, always friendly. And then we almost just agreed in the end, like after it was over. He was like, all right, I'll just be the punter. Because I was not very good at punting. Not
mhm.
good at all, actually. So then Shane took the punter spot, and then it was like, oh, Jack's the kicker. So like that's kind of how it went.
Do you think because I almost feel like, and I kind of alluded to baseball, because for a young pitcher, if he has to be like, if you tell a freshman, all right, you're the ace, you got to carry the load, you got to go 7 innings, you got to, because we don't have a bullpen, and you put that much pressure on a young kid, I feel like that can kind of go one of two ways. It can either make the young player kind of go into a hole and, you know, get nervous and get very anxious, or they can run with it and say, all right, I'm going to take this as far as I can. For you, do you think that because being told to only focus on one thing, which was kicker, and not have to do both, it kind of allowed you to get your feet wet and not have to, basically not have to carry? Because again, like you said, and we were talking, punting is not easy. Kicking is hard enough. Punting is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely did take a load off my shoulders for sure because just almost like I was just still trying to learn, getting my technique down. And if I added punting on top of that and then quarterback in practice,
Mhm.
then like the kicking side could have fell. And then yeah, and during the games, if like a botched punt, I would probably be on like I would keep that heavy in my head, and then I don't want that to go out and like affect kicking at that time. Back when I was a little kid playing Southington football,
Mhm.
all the fans, everyone, yeah,
Would you say though too that because of, and now I know obviously we couldn't predict what was going to happen in 2020 with football, but do you think because you were able to do the kicking your sophomore year, and with the loss of the junior year, that at least you were able to at least get your feet wet and allow yourself an opportunity. You know, and if, for people who may not know, you're going to a couple camps. The next couple of days at Wagner and Sacred Heart University to be able to continue and showcase your leg, your talent. I called you on Twitter a couple of days ago the leg. I stole that from the replacements because there was a kicker who, coincidentally enough, played soccer. I think it was for England, and they called him the leg because he can kick the ball across the field from one pitch to the other, from one goal to another goal. Do you think that because of that sophomore year, it kind of helped you even to today?
For sure, 100%. Send it, sending that out. It's just like, oh, I watched your film. It's no great shakes, but it's film. I'll take it. Seeing kids from like across the country having that junior year film though, it kind of hurts. It kind of stings a little bit. But yeah, definitely that film definitely helps. Film definitely helped me.
But see, even in even with the film, because Connecticut was one of the few states that did not play football the entire year. Now, there was something that was ran in Connecticut, and it's 7-on-7. It's neither here nor there. It did something, but it didn't do enough. But whatever. Do you feel like though, even though you don't have that junior film, it kind of allows you to have, and I'm sure you have a chip on your shoulder as is, maybe just personality or just how you are as an athlete. But seeing that says, you know what? All right, I'm going to prove everybody like I'm a different kind of cat.
Yeah, definitely actually. And then like taking that and then going in and still working on my own, like over quarantine, weightlifting, you know, Southington closed their field, had to go to Plainville all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, got I work with a coach, Ed Groth. He's a great guy. Definitely helped me improve a lot. Also,
Mm-hmm.
so then like, yeah, taking that film and then just improving, showing everyone what I could do. Yeah, it's good.
Talk to me about, because I've only had one other player who was a kicker, and he kicked at Endicott. He was an All American, Nick DiCarano. I think he played for St. Joe's.
Mhm.
Very good kicker. I think currently right now he's a free agent. He was getting, like you mentioned, your kicking coach. He had Nick Novak, who was a kicker for the Chargers. I want to say he was with a couple other teams. I could be wrong. I know he kicked for the Chargers because I remember a lot of his games. But the reason why I bring him up is because it's always interesting to have different different positions from people who come on. So kind of just take me into a practice workouts. Like, are you focusing on, like, for pitchers for baseball, you're focusing on the core and the legs. Kicking, I'm sure it's the legs, but is it flexibility? Just take me into that.
For you want like a kicking workout?
Sure, kicking workout, what you do, give me the whole nine.
So you're stretching. You're stretching a lot because you would easily pull something. Always starting close. Make sure your technique is good. If you pull bad technique from the beginning, if you back up, it's not going to help you the whole way. And then as you back up, always start. Well, I always start on field goals, just because that's just my thing. As you back up, if you keep the same swing the whole time, you're good. You don't try to change anything up, because then that's when you're gonna take the ball and you're gonna shank it
Mm-hmm.
the wrong way. And then always put myself through a like little 4-ball circuit. Just place them anywhere on the hashes. I like to work the hashes a lot because in the game, you're not always gonna get that pretty middle of the field, you know.
Very
So that
true.
yeah, consistency, everything, and then after field goals, I usually venture to kick off. Just go like 10 kickoffs maybe. Start with like 3 steps though. So you get your timing down, get your leg swing through. Well, kickoff's different than field goal though.
Mm-hmm.
Because for kickoff, you're landing on your kicking leg, which is, it might seem a little funny, but yeah, and you're kicking off a 2-inch block also for kickoff. So you're catching the ball higher. Just always making sure technique is spot on. You're not injuring yourself by any chance, swinging wrong. Never want injury, never injury.
Now you talk about the technique, and again, this may sound dumb because I don't know anything about. I know football, but I don't know anything as far as the actual on field. Like if you told me to teach a kicker, I would be coming to you or D Carano. I wouldn't be going to anybody else because I can't teach it. I can teach soccer kicking, but I guess I'll bring that up real quick. Is there any correlation with kicking a soccer ball, like just the mechanics? That's what I'm looking for. The mechanics of kicking a soccer ball and then kicking a football. I know the ball is different. Okay, I'm not
Mhm.
stupid, but are the mechanics, are they the same or is it a little bit different?
I mean, to an extent, like you're kicking it like that little next to your laces, kind of like the inside of your foot. You're
Hmm.
getting it up. But like I feel like as a soccer ball, you're almost always kicking it just line drive straight, or you're passing on the ground.
Hmm.
Like for the football, you're trying to get some lift. So you gotta almost get like you gotta get like sweet spot of your foot,
Hmm.
then you gotta get the lift on it while keeping your foot straight. Because like if you all right, this is weird to explain. So if it's like if your heel's like bent up, then you're gonna get a funny motion on it and it's gonna go the wrong way. So you gotta keep your heel like straight, like ballerina almost, like a gymnast. You gotta keep like your toes down, your foot bent,
Hmm.
just so like you're creating a flat sweet spot for the ball so it goes straight. Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't like to say it's like a soccer ball, but like it kind of is.
Now, same thing with the swing leg. Now, when I mention the swing leg, I'm talking about the dominant leg of which you're kicking. Is
Mhm.
that kind of, because when I think of, because I played left back and sometimes I played mid, but the big thing was for myself in the defense, at least at the high school level, and that's where I stopped playing. Um, it was to focus on any chance, just kick the ball out of kick it as far as you can. That way, allow the defense to be able to reset and allow the mid to be able to kind of do their thing. Same thing for the wings. But the
Mhm.
reason why I bring that up is the swing leg, would always try to get as high as you can, and that's where the flexibility thing comes in. I feel like for kicking, it's the same way. Now, I'm not saying that I've seen kickers who was it, Janikowski, who kicked for Oakland, if I remember right, for a
Yes.
while. He did not have a big swing, and
Mhm.
it was about medium to maybe low. It was more of like a line drive kind of thing. But then I think of other kickers, Nick Novak or Nick Folk, who kicked for the Cowboys, the Jets, and there's some other kickers as well who in their heyday when they were younger, they had a bigger leg kick. Their swing was bigger. So does that play a factor too?
I think it's like a preference thing, honestly, because like I've seen guys swipe it and come across really fast,
Okay.
and then there's guys that'll give a full leg extension straight, like a very flexible straight up down. I like to go with the almost medium, but like to the higher flexible side because like I feel like as my leg comes straight, then the ball goes straight too, and like following through.
Hmm. Now, is that something where, and I know you said how you mentioned where you feel comfortable. Did you ever kind of tinker with, all right, I'm going to go, like I mentioned with Janikowski, I'm just kind of going to stop my leg at a certain point, or maybe I'll go a little bit higher. Was that like when I think of, and I know I keep going back to baseball, but it kind of, again, it kind of makes sense. I'm sure it makes sense for you. If it doesn't, I apologize. But when I think of pitching, you're always having to adjust. If you don't have your stuff, maybe your legs are not there, maybe your body just feels like crap and you can't really do much, and you're trying to invent on the fly and you're trying to get yourself just to get through your athletic performance and ability.
Hmm.
Do you think that you were trying to tinker with certain things to see, oh, this works, oh, this definitely doesn't work?
Uh, yeah, way back or in sophomore year, I used to give it more of like a sideways swing, just like because I felt like I got more power on the ball. But with that comes like more inconsistency because rather than like if you go straight through and give like a forward leg swing, follow through straight leg, then it's just more consistent. Like it's more like you could repeat that rather than like kicking it like a soccer ball and just getting like distance on it. You won't have as much control over that ball.
Huh, interesting. I'm learning a lot about kicking right here. To be honest with you, this is great because again, it's a position that I feel like, and this kind of goes into the next topic I want to talk about with you, is the fact that high school kicking, college and pro, it's different. Maybe even college to a certain degree, kicking may not be talked about as much, may not be linked as, the missing, almost like the missing, the Loch Ness monster. You know what I'm talking about? You know, So I just feel like in high school, kicking is not taken as seriously or important as maybe it should. And I know I'm not going to butcher the kid's last name from Hall. I'm sure you. What was his name?
Ruelas.
Yeah,
I
it just rolls off your tongue. Whatever.
Yeah.
The kid's got a boot. 65 plus. It's yeah. But when I saw that, I was thinking as I was in awe watching it 4 or 5 times, I was like, that's a weapon. Like that is something that in close games, it helps the offense because now they don't have to feel like if we don't get a touchdown, we got to punt it, and then it just trickles down to the defense. And I feel
Hmm.
like the same for you, man. If you're able to make the kicks that you can, not saying that you have to kick 65 yarders, but when you leave points on the field, when you're facing I'm just gonna, like the Naugatucks, the Cheshires, you could just go down the line. I almost feel like you leave those points on the field, you can't get them back.
Hmm. I feel the same way. Like against those kind of like more physical, like or just better schools, like just to put it that way. Always like Coach Drury, it would always be like, do your thing, normal, because putting PATs up against a big name school that we know it's going to be a dogfight against is very important because that game could easily come down to 1 point, 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I kicking is very underrated in high school in my opinion, and I feel like it's coming around now almost. Like I've been seeing a lot, but I feel like it's the most slept on position in high school football right now.
Even punting as well. I mean, again, I apologize. I keep going back to the NVL. It's where I broadcast and I see all my games. A couple years ago, Woodland, the Woodland Hawks in Prospect, they were on the precipice of defeating the Ansonia Chargers, who have, they're and I'm sure you know who they are. They are they're the Alabama of the NVL. They never lose. They always win the NVL. Then they go to states and they do their thing. But what I'm trying to say is here, Woodland had a chance to beat them, but they did not have the proper protection and they had their punt blocked, which then resulted in a touchdown, changed the pace of the game, and Sonia wins. The reason why I bring that up is if you can have good special teams, kickoff, field goal, punting, that kind of stuff not only trickles down as I said that before with the offense and the defense, but it just allows a completion of a team when you're going up against the Ansonias, the Southingtons, the Cheshires, and so
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Coach Drury and I are kind of on the same page for that. Like he takes his special teams very seriously. It's always like if you're on punt, like you get out there and you do your assignment, or you're off punt. Like it's like that, honestly. And having good special teams, like special teams can throw a game. Like it could waver a game one way or another. Like an onside kick, that then you just get the ball back. Like we're talking like big drastic changes in a game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, again, now I'm going to go to the NFL here because this will I'll never forget because it happened on my birthday. The game of which who's your favorite football team?
Bills.
Okay, well, okay, not as bad, not as bad as the offensive lineman I had. What was it, Ryan Andrews? He's a Giants fan.
Yeah, he's a Giants fan.
Yeah, and I'm a Cowboys fan, so we kind of had our little debates.
You guys do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fun stuff, fun stuff. But anywho, so the Dallas Cowboys way back when were playing against Seattle in Seattle, and Tony Romo was the holder, and I'm never gonna forget this. Grammatica was kicking. Romo drops the ball on the potential kick, and then he scrambles, gets tackled. Cowboys lose. Reason why I bring that up, the little things, stuff like that, come if you do not practice that and you are not prepared, it will show up when the game matters most. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that, and I'm sure you could speak the same way.
I feel the same way because 2 years ago, Josh V was the holder and he didn't get enough love. I mean, like he never it was never on him. Like he always had the ball there for me. And Vecchio snapped, it was always spot on. It was just like, well, through the reps we put in practice also, stuff like that. It was like we ready. You gotta be ready.
Yeah, like we said, you got to be ready, especially when the lights shine bright, because your weaknesses will show. Just like in baseball, where if you get put into a game, the ball will always find you. Well, when the lights are bright and the moment's big, your weaknesses, if you do not practice them, come out even more. But Jack, I
Mhm.
really do appreciate you coming on. I do have one more question for you. Now, I know the next, we alluded to earlier about the fact that you have a couple camps coming up at Wagner and Sacred University. Kind of just share whatever you can as far as what you're looking forward to with those camps the next couple days.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of reaching out, on Twitter, talking to coaches, trying to put my name out there, kind of like, and then like if I get like coaches would be like, oh, come to camp. So then say for sure you make a little bond, make a bond with the coach, and then like I'm going out to Wagner tomorrow. They're doing multiple teams. There's gonna be Wagner and Syracuse. So then you kind of like broadcast yourself to multiple people at once, which is really good for recruiting purposes because you're getting like two for the price of one almost. And then there's some camps with like bigger. Like I went to URI June 3rd. So it was like Southern, Boston College, URI, all these schools from around here. And it's awesome to go there and just meet all these new people, meet all these coaches, make connections, show what I could do.
Oh yeah, networking. I mean, just like in life, regardless of how far you get with your career, the best thing is not what you know, but who you know. And networking, making those connections, because you just never know, especially in sports itself. Everything comes full circle, one way or another. This person knew this person 10 years ago, who knew that person, and then somehow that person's on their staff.
You could blow off this other coach who ends up coaching for your dream school. And then it's like, you were not nice to me back then. Why am I going to be nice to you now? Kind of thing.
Exactly. But hey, treat everybody with respect,
Of
and I'm
course.
sure you will. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck as far as with your camps the next 2 days. And I'm sure we'll be talking before the season starts. I'm sure we will.
For sure. Thank you.
No problem, man. That wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. And our CT stands for Connecticut Town. I'm on a journey to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.